Welcome to the Tattooed Truth Podcast with Anna Love, a space for embodied conversations for soul-led rebels. I'm your host, Anna Love, intuitive empowerment coach, subconscious healing guide, and no stranger to burning it all down to rise in truth. Here we dive deep into identity, healing, personal power, and what it really takes to lead a soul-aligned life. You'll hear unfiltered insights, real stories, and live coaching sessions with bold callers ready to break free and embody their next level. This is your invitation to reclaim your voice, rewire your patterns, and rise fully expressed. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Tattooed Truth Podcast. I am your host, Anna Love. Very excited to jump into our episode today, why you can't heal what you are still loyal to. Let's dive into what that means. Now, there's a reason why some patterns don't move, no matter how much therapy you've done, how aware you are, or how many tools that you've learned. It's not because you're failing. It's because part of you is still loyal to what you are trying to heal. Oh my gosh, even when I say that, I can feel it in my chest because I used to be very, very loyal to an old identity and to my family. So it may not be family for you, but for me, it certainly was. And I'd love to dive into this episode so you can explore if you are dealing with this as well. So we're talking about subconscious loyalty, how loyalty to parents, partners, identities, and roles can be quietly overriding your healing, even when you genuinely want to change. And that's the difference between consciously wanting to change and subconsciously not being able to change. And a lot of us don't understand what this means because we're not ever taught that the subconscious controls 95% of our choices. So it's not about blaming anyone or anything. It's about being honest with the dynamics of what is actually going on. So subconscious loyalty, let's jump into that. That is the unseen agreement that says, if I change, I might lose something. I might lose love. I might lose connection. I might lose my place in the roles that I've been playing in people's lives. If I heal, I might betray someone. If I become free, I might no longer belong. And every one of these thoughts, right? There's an if then, there's a might. I might no longer belong. That is something that most of us are striving most of our lives to do, to belong, to be in compliance, to be honored by someone, to be loved. So we're talking about very deep feelings and things that, quite frankly, if we don't have them, sometimes we feel like we can't go on. If we don't have love, if we don't have connection, if we don't have belonging, it really takes us down as a human being because those are the things that we need. So these loyalties, they often form from early on in our childhood. They're not logical, they're emotional survival strategies. And like I always say, it is our way of protecting ourselves. So we don't choose them consciously, but they've been choosing us for as long as we can remember. So where does this loyalty show up? You might still be loyal if you're protecting a parent's image at the expense of your truth. You stay emotionally connected or tethered to a partner who no longer meets you where you need to be. I don't know if you've ever had those experiences with parents, with partners. I know I definitely have. And you keep identifying with being the strong one or the good girl or the fixer or the caretaker. And one of the things that I've learned in my years of working with clients is when you find out who did that child need to be, who did that client need to be as a child to get attention, to feel connected, to feel loved, to matter, to belong. Who do they need to be to their mother, and who do they need to be to their father, and who do they need to be inside of the dynamics of their family, especially if there are siblings? You're going to find out how they are living their life, most likely as an adult. So, if as a child they learned to be the caretaker, to be the quiet one, to be the academic one, to be the strong one, then most of the time it's ingrained, it's programmed, it's a strategy, it's how they are leading their lives today. And it's most of the time not serving them. It's just something that they are loyal to that title. They've been doing it for so long that they don't even realize that it's something that they have chosen. They decided a long time ago, okay, it's better if I do this. It's better if I act like this. So you keep identifying with one of these labels. And I know for me, I was the good girl. I was the girl who was told, don't mess it up. That was one of the things I was told. And the other thing is, be careful because you could get hurt. And there was literally something that I was doing this morning, and I heard in my head, be careful, you shouldn't do that. You're going to get hurt. And I'm like 51 years old, still hearing it in my head. So this is that conditioning that we go through as a child that is supposed to be there to keep us safe, to teach us to be careful, to teach us to be on alert. And people are looking out for our best interest, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what's wrong with it is it becomes an identity, and we become loyal to that identity years and years and years later. So you might still be loyal if you heal around the wound instead of through the wound. Okay. And maybe if you understand the pattern, but you don't fully release it. So these are just ways that we cope, or we can notice that things are going on. Because I always say the first step is awareness and noticing. Maybe you can notice it, but you don't fully heal through the wound. And I have a saying, like, you have to go through it to get to the other side. But most of us don't want to go through it. We don't want to go through the shitstorm. We want to go around it and avoid it. We want to sugarcoat it so that it's more palatable. But the problem is it's not fully released. It's not fully handled. And this is why our insight alone into this doesn't equal freedom. So this is deeper with our subconscious, that we need to work with someone who actually does subconscious work. And that is something that I do. And this is why I talk about this quite often, is because we can do little affirmations here or there, but it's not going to stick. That's like what's working around it. That's healing the wound around it rather than going through it. To go through something, you need to discover it, you need to find the learnings, and you need to release the emotions that were trapped at the time of the experience. So, this is really important to understand because I did not understand this for years, and I almost refused to deal with this. I was not going head on, I wasn't dealing with it through it. I was avoiding it, and I was afraid of losing my family members. I was afraid of being called names. I was afraid of people telling me that I thought that I was better than everybody else in the family. And also, I was afraid of who I would be if I wasn't being angry, if I wasn't constantly being on high alert. It was actually an identity for me to have PTSD. Even before I realized that I had PTSD, I was literally like just running around angry all the time, always on edge. It was part of my personality. And I always wanted to be the strong one. I always wanted to get shit done by myself. I didn't need help. I didn't want anybody's sympathy. I didn't want anybody's help or support. And it wore me down, quite frankly. And what I learned later is that was my masculine coming in to rescue me. And what I needed was to bring in more of the feminine. And I felt like if I was to be any different than the way that I was being, then it was self-betrayal. I felt like I'd rather be what I thought at the time, I'm being true to myself, when really I didn't understand that it was all ego in the first place. It was all parts of my personality that were protecting me. My ego masks were on, and I thought that I was betraying myself, but I didn't understand the complexities of yourself and your ego masks. So this changing and this shifting does not require self-betrayal. All right. So healing that costs you your authenticity isn't healing. So I wasn't healing all those years. I was running, I was avoiding. I thought I was running straight into it because I was like, I'm not afraid, but really I was everything to do with being afraid. My whole life was built on fear. So I was just adapting. I was coping. I was surviving. And I thought there was something heroic around survival. And I've learned the very, very hard way that it's thriving. That's what suits me better. It fits better. It feels better. My energy is better when I'm not having to run and to fight and to have these identities that maybe served me when I was younger, but certainly don't serve me in my 50s and even my 40s and even my 30s. Man, I've been alive for a long, long time here. So many women, and here's the deal, this is the difference between identity versus healing. Many women do not realize that they're loyal to the things that I have been naming. They don't realize that they're loyal to being needed, being agreeable, being the emotional anchor, being the version of themselves that kept the peace. They don't realize that they are participating and they are being loyal to these ways of being. So healing threatens those identities. Do you see the problem when we believe that we can't be any different? I won't be loyal if I change. Healing actually threatens the very identity of who we're being. And the nervous system resists anything that feels like being pushed away, that feels like being exiled, even if it's freedom, even if it's liberation. The nervous system will reject it. And the nervous system will take what's familiar, what's comfortable, even though it hurts, right? And I say comfortable meaning we're used to it. It's familiar, but there's an uncomfortability about it, but it's almost like we'd rather have that than have something new and something where we're telling ourselves we're not loyal if we change. So I'm here to say you're not wrong for wanting to hold your identity. You're not, because it's what you've always been. This is who you've been. And up until this point, sometimes people even say, this is literally who I am. I can't change. So you're not wrong for not understanding that this is actually a loyalty to the way you're being. It's not the way and who you truly are inside. It kept you safe. You needed to do it. Safety is not the same as freedom. And freedom asks a different question. Who am I allowed to become if I stop protecting what hurt me? So ask yourself that. Who do I get to be? Who am I allowed to be? Who can I become if I stop protecting what hurt me? This is a really, really deep. The sooner you can start to ask yourselves questions like these, the quicker you're going to feel the shifts inside of your body. So, this episode, like all of my episodes, it's just an invitation to be curious. It's not a demand. It's not saying that you need to change everything and everything you've ever done needs to shift or else you're not good enough or you haven't gotten there yet. You're not transformed. You're not fully free. It's an invitation just to start getting curious. Start noticing, what do I feel I'd lose if I was fully healed? And for me, it was my identity. I didn't want to stop drinking because that was an identity. I was like, I don't want to be the girl that doesn't drink. How lame is that? That's literally what I used to think deep down and not realize it. So ask yourself another question. Who might feel uncomfortable if I changed? And for me, this was a big thing. It was this fear that other people would feel uncomfortable if I wasn't the Anna that they knew me as 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Because where I come from, people say, don't forget where you've come from. So letting that go and taking a good, strong look at where are you still choosing loyalty over your actual truth. So awareness is the first rupture in an old agreement. So that is the very first thing to do. But then can you take it a step further? So this is very, very important. I am of the belief system that you do not need to burn bridges. You do not need to take it all down. You don't need to make anyone wrong. No one's bad. You don't even need to force any type of separation between yourself and anything that you're participating in, any friendships that you have, any family members. You don't need to abandon relationships. You don't even need to abandon yourself. The deepest healing begins when loyalty returns to yourself, when you return home to your truth, to you. So it's very subtle. So you can make these changes and they are going to be coming from the inside out. No one has to know. You can just start to feel into who am I truly being at my truth without all of these identities, without this loyalty to anything. Oh, that felt good to say. There was a time in my past when I would not have been able to say this out loud. It was not available to me. And if this is ringing true for you, I'd love for you to connect with me on Instagram. I am .theannalove. And until next time, be well. And I love you. And I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Tattooed Truth Podcast. If this episode lit something up in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, leave a review, and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss a truth bomb. If you're craving deeper support, guided healing, or a space to reclaim your voice and power, check the show notes for ways to work with me. Remember, your truth is not too loud, too bold, or too much. It's exactly what this world needs. Keep showing up, stay wild, stay true. I'll see you next time.